Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine with this week's video fishing forecast for the weekend. Going to start things off, as always, in Connecticut, where blackfishing remains the primary topic of conversation right now throughout Long Island Sound, and particularly after last week's pending state record blackfish landed aboard the Sunbeam. The party boats have been flooded with hopeful anglers. Well, Captain Greg of the Black Hawk has been doing some great mixed bag trips and have been producing blackfish, scup, sea bass, cod, and even some bluefish. Then the dedicated bluefish trips that they took have been absolutely lights out, and as he put it, all the bluefish you could possibly handle or want diamond jigging. So that's some great news. Lots of bluefish around right now for those of you looking to fill in between drops for the blackfish. And we got word from River's End and Old Saybrook. They report some absolutely amazing topwater action around the lower Connecticut River and just outside the mouth of the river right now, as striped bass and bluefish are feeding on both peanut bunker as well as adult bunker. And Captain Mike Roy of Real Cast Charters, he's been showing some pictures of his catches all year. He put one of his clients onto an absolutely enormous striped bass this week on top water, somewhere outside of the Connecticut River. So there are some really big bass around right now, making that last push through the area before they head on south for the winter. Then moving on into Rhode Island, it checked in with the Francis fleet. Continue to work the waters off of Block Island, Cox's Ledge, that general area for cod. Now the bite has not been quite as consistent as it was prior to that big storm a couple of weeks ago, but they're still finding numbers of cod scattered throughout the grounds, and they're mixed in with them, with these good pockets of fish they're finding, cod up to probably the mid-teen range. They're finding some black sea bass, scup, some winter flounder, and even some big fluke. Last week they had fluke to just shy of 10 pounds landed, mixed in with those cod and everything else. That's a really good mixed bag going on out there. They've also got some dedicated blackfish trips going on right now as well. Also, Captain Tony of Booked Off Charters, he's been working those same waters around Block Island lately, and he's been finding similar results, targeting blackfish. He did quite well this past weekend. He's also been getting into some sea bass and some fluke, and over the weekend he did a striped bass and bluefish trip where he found some massive chopper blues and even a 42-pound striped bass mixed in. So there's still some really good fish around Block Island for the time being. Out of Massachusetts, Red Top Sporting Goods reports some great topwater action taking place this week around the Plymouth area and on into the canal, with some bass and bluefish being taken throughout the day. They're getting some bluefish up into the 15, 16, even 17-pound class, steady numbers of striped bass in that same range. Biggest bass confirmed that I heard of this week out of the canal was about 27 pounds. There been some rumors of a few up into the 30s, however, so still plenty of big fish to the north of us, working their way on down south. A good friend of mine, Alan Sheriff, checked in. He was fishing out of Chatham a couple of days this past weekend, and while tuna and striped bass were his primary target, the weather didn't quite cooperate, and ended up finding some crazy bluefish blitzes on some juvenile sand eels. He was loaded up with big choppers. He kept a couple for the smoker, and then while he was motoring around, found schools of mackerel, jigged up a bunch of those, and he plans on making some sweet and sour mackerel in the coming days. So that sounds like an awesome little secondary catch he had going on up there, again, off of Chatham. Then lastly, the 10th annual Nantucket Inshore Classic Fishing Tournament concluded this past weekend, and the awards ceremony and closing party were held at the Nantucket Anglers Club. Now, there was over $8,000 worth of prizes awarded in 5 division adult grand champions, the adult and junior anglers weighed in the heaviest fish of each species, and the leaders in the catch and release category. Now, for a complete look at this tournament as well as the results, check out the YouTube card that just popped up. Send you on over to the fisherman.com news section. We got all the details on this awesome tournament. So there you have it. I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines if you head out onto the water this weekend.
To receive the latest fishing reports, subscribe to the Fisherman's YouTube page. Click subscribe, then click the settings button and check Send Me Updates. You'll now receive notifications of the latest Fisherman YouTube videos and reports. If you're already a subscriber, make sure you've checked Send Me Updates in the settings so you receive the latest notifications.